Okay, good morning, everybody. Today we are going to enjoy a breathing life session with Sarah Bowden, who is coming to us from her home to show us how to connect with our breath and through our breath to our body and mind. So I'm just going to hand over to you, Sarah.
Hey everyone, nice to be here and be guiding you through some breath exercises. I'm super passionate about the breath, and it's one of the most powerful tools that we have, and we have it at our direct access. We don't need to go anywhere. We don't need to look for anything. We can sit down and take a few minutes any time of the day to connect with the breath. And you know what it feels like when you just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. It can totally change your day. So I want to share a couple of exercises out of the millions and millions of exercises that there are to help you to reconnect with the power of your own breath. It's always there supporting you. It's always there trying to speak to you and talk to you. And it knows exactly what's going on inside, even if you don't. So it's really important that we try to form a relationship with our breath that's been there since the beginning, and it will be there till the end. It really is the reason we are here. Without that breath, nothing would be possible. It creates, it works all the functions of the body. It oxygenates the brain, so it helps the function of the brain. It determines how we feel, how we think, what we do. And really, a lot of the time we'll notice that most of us are not breathing to our full capacity. We're on high alert, we're busy lifestyles, we've got a lot to think about, a lot to do, and we often neglect this fundamental part of ourselves. And we forget that we're even breathing. So we really take it for granted. And it's just such a simple thing that we can come back to regain power, to feed all the systems of the body, to get the heart healthy, to get the brain working fully. Yeah, we only use such a small portion of our brain anyway. They say about 10%, right? So if we could tap into a fuller breath, maybe that means we could tap into more of our brain. And we want to balance the systems of the body, you know. So the nervous system and the endocrine system, they're the two really important ones, as they release the hormones into the body. They kind of determine what happens in the digestive system and our moods and the way that we're growing. So yeah, the breath breathing properly can directly impact those two systems, as well as every other system. So it's good to start good breathing patterns during the day, so that especially when we're sleeping, that's a lot of when actually those bad patterns manifest. When we're sleeping, if we're not conscious of our breath even through the day, then we're breathing and we're in that unconscious state. That's where often when disease can happen. So we can wake up feeling less energized than when we went to bed. We can wake up feeling groggy and tired. And this is because firstly, we're probably not breathing that well during the day, and then that manifests even more during the night. So by learning to control and work with the breath and just notice that it's there, we can kind of gain a bit of control over our lives in a sense as well. And there's lots of exercises, some that energize you, some that calm you, some that balance you. So I'm just going to start with some real basics today. Basics being, a lot of us breathe from the chest. We don't take deep breaths. So I want to start with, let's start with a little bit of just breath awareness, okay? Breath awareness, as simple as that. It's breath watching your own breath. So it's nice if you do these exercises that you're in a calm place where the air is flowing, you're not in a really congested area. and you're just sitting comfortably. So if you find it difficult to sit cross-legged, you can sit against a wall or you can sit on a chair. Use cushions if you feel like your knees are raised up really high, to get the body nice and open so that the energy can flow. Okay, if we're feeling tense in the body, then the energy doesn't flow. So make yourself as comfortable as you can to start to focus on your breath. Nice. Let's just take a nice big breath in through the nose and a big sigh out through the mouth. And again, really filling up and letting go. And last round, let's lift the shoulders up to the ears. Relaxing the shoulders down, letting every drop of air out. Nice, and then just close the eyes. Maybe you just want to roll the shoulders up and back a few times. We want to create that space through the upper body. And then maybe just drawing your chin down and your chin up. Getting some movement for the neck. Right ear to right shoulder, left ear to left shoulder. We want to feel freedom in the body. And we're working a lot with the upper body. Like in yoga, we do lots of yoga postures. Really, what they're there for is to open the body so that we can breathe more efficiently, so that we can sit for long periods of times and prepare for meditation. So the yoga poses aren't necessarily about contorting yourself into all kinds of positions, but in creating space, because the lungs are huge and we just tap into such a small amount of space in there. So just closing the eyes, relaxing your face, relaxing your cheekbones, relaxing your jaw, shoulders, upper back, elbows, the hands, the wrists. Just letting everything soften. Just taking a little scan through the body. So from the head to the feet and from the feet up to the head. Just taking some time to come into the body. Nice, and just starting to notice your own breath as it moves in and out of the body. Nothing to change, nothing to control, just witnessing, watching the flow of your own breath as it moves in and out. All thoughts, all worries, all things that you need to do, all things that happened yesterday, we can just put them in a box, put them to the side, and put 100% of your energy into just watching the breath, keeping it super simple. Just notice the flow of your breath this morning. Is it a fast breath? Is it a slow breath? Does it move in waves? What are the qualities of your breath? The texture of your breath? Does it reach all parts of the body? Does it feel like it gets stopped at a certain point? Is it smooth? Just observing without needing to change, without judging, just observing. And we feel the rise of the belly as the breath moves in. And the softening of the body. as the breath moves out. Feeling this ever-changing, this expansion and contraction through the body as you breathe. Trace the breath as it moves in through the nostrils, hits the back of the throat. Where does it move to? Is it sitting at the chest or is it down into the belly? So that just brings me on to the second little exercise. First little thing we've just been doing, just watching the breath. You can do this anytime, just taking some moments throughout your day at any stage to watch your breath, to become aware of the breath, to start to form a relationship with the breath, because so often we forget that it's there. And so when we're breathing with the chest, which a lot of us are doing when we're in the mind, is just taking these shallow breaths that actually activate a fight or flight response in the body. So we come into this diaphragmatic breathing. You can take your hands and place them on your belly. And again, just closing the eyes, that way you bring more attention inwards. And really, as you inhale, try to feel the belly expand as you breathe in. So breathing deep down into the belly. And then feeling it soften as you exhale. So maybe you were already breathing like this, or maybe you've noticed now that you are, that your breath is becoming longer and deeper. Take your time as you breathe into the belly. Don't feel rushed. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just put all your attention into this breathing so that you can feel the power of your breath. So this diaphragmatic breathing helps us to slow the breath down. The average breath rate is about 12 to 20 breaths per minute. So we're aiming through these breathing exercises to lengthen the breath and lower the rate of breath per minute. That means we have less work for the body. The heart can be in harmony. It's not overworking itself. And the body's just working at a more optimal level. So just take 2 or 3 more rounds with this belly breathing, just feeling that expanding of the belly as you inhale. And the softening of the belly as you exhale. It draws back in. Let's just take 1 more round like that. Nice. So just leaving one hand on your belly, take another hand on your chest. Oh, sorry, take it on your rib cage first. Okay, so we start to move that energy from the belly up into the rib cage. We're starting to move into a full yogic breath, full thoracic breathing. Step by step, so from the belly, let's inhale. And then feel that breath move up into the rib cage, feel it expand. And then exhale, the rib cage draws back in. And the belly softens. Nice. Breathing in from the belly to the rib cage. And from the rib cage back down to the belly. 1 more round like that from the belly. Feel it lifting, feel it expanding into the rib cage. And exhale. Rib cage draws in, belly softens. Nice. Moving that top hand now up to the chest. And we want to feel that movement all the way from the belly to the rib cage and up to the chest. So we're breathing in slowly, bringing that awareness deep down into the belly, where the diaphragm does its work, the main muscle that's associated with breathing. It draws down as you inhale and draws up as you exhale. So we're breathing in from the belly, the rib cage opens, and then the chest also lifts and expands. And as you exhale, the chest softens, the rib cage draws back in, and the belly relaxes. Nice. Feel that whole front of the body expanding. Inhale from the belly to the chest. And exhale from the chest back down to the belly. Nice. So just releasing your hands, we'll take them to the sides of the body as well. So we're breathing with the front of the body, and we're going to breathe with the sides of the body. So as we breathe in and out, want to feel that expansion as the ribs flare out and that contraction as the ribs draw back in. So if you can hold yourself there, let's take a few rounds of breath, breathing in and out through the nose. Rib cage slowly expand as you breathe in, and then contract as you exhale. Take 2 more rounds. And 1 more round. Beautiful. And lastly, we'll just take the hands to the upper back, if that's available to you. And a little bit harder to breathe, but we want to breathe as well with the back of the body, okay? So like we are from the belly into the chest, we're breathing from the lower back up into the upper back, trying to feel that expansion and contraction. Feeling that slight lift as you inhale. Breathing with the back of the body. Exhale, the upper back softens. Inhale. Exhale. Take 1 more round. Nice. And slowly release your hands. Keep breathing. Your awareness is on all angles of the body, the front, the back, and the sides of the body. We're breathing that full thoracic breath. Like a big balloon that is inflating as you breathe in and slowly deflating as you exhale. Nice. Take 2 more rounds like that. Breathing with all sides, the front, the back, and the sides of the body. And breathing with the pores of the skin, the major organ of the body that's taking in oxygen all the time. Whole body awareness as you breathe. Nice. So this is simple steps that we can take to getting a fuller breath, starting with some breath awareness, just becoming aware of the breath. The more we can tune into the breath, the less distracted we are by the mind. So the easiest point of reference we can come into for any kind of meditation is to actually just focus one pointedly to the breath, and we already feel much more calm in the body. So we start with some breath awareness. You can do that anytime. And if you feel like your breaths are shallow, you're a little bit stressed, you're overwhelmed, coming into that diaphragmatic breathing, you can placing your hands on your belly and then bringing that energy up into the chest, the sides, the back, the whole body breathe, so we get more of the capacity to access more of the potential of the body and the mind. The lungs, when we spread them out, they're about as big as a tennis court. So if we're just breathing so short, we're really just, we're not accessing all that there is there. And the inner workings of a human body is truly, truly amazing. There's so much going on in there. There's so much that we can work with. And it starts with, discovering the depth and the potency of your breath through deep breaths. Okay, we'll take one little last exercise. Coherent breathing, which is a really nice exercise. It's a balanced breath. So we're going to breathe in for 5 or 6 counts. Some people prefer 5, some people prefer 6. And we breathe out for equal amount of time, 5 or 6. So if you're choosing 5, you're breathing in for 5 and you're exhaling for 5. So most of us are, we have either a long inhale and a short exhale, which means, the process of gas exchange isn't really functioning optimally. When we breathe out, we're releasing toxins from the body. So if we're not breathing out long enough, we aren't releasing toxins from the body efficiently, and that can manifest in disease in the body or in fluctuations and movement of the mind, of emotional stress as well. So we want to make sure that we're breathing out for long enough, and also if we're not inhaling for long enough, we're not taking in the good energy, we're not taking in the oxygen that feeds and nourishes every part of the body. It's a vital nutrient, just like the food that we eat. We need it to sustain ourselves. So oxygen is the number one thing. So we need to breathe in for long enough and breathe out for long enough. This is a balanced one. So we're breathing in and out for equal amounts of time. That means we are the heart rate and the rate of breathing, the flow of the breath, as the diaphragm moves up and down, the thoracic pump, are going to be working on an even level, or an even rate. So when we're stressed, the heart can be going like this and we can be going like this, and that puts pressure on the heart. So if we can synchronize the two, bring them into harmony, that gives a lot of rest and ease to the heart, which in turn, taps into our parasympathetic nervous system and helps us to relax. And this is a really powerful technique. When I was learning this, I heard a story by someone that I was learning this with, that she was a teacher at a school, at like a kids with behavioral problems. And so lunchtimes, after lunchtimes, when the kids should be resting, they were kind of running crazy, they wouldn't relax, they were very noisy, she didn't know what to do. She was getting angry, she was getting upset. Eventually she decided to just go upstairs and do this coherent breathing. And she noticed day after day how the children's behavior actually started to calm down. So by breathing calmly and being balanced in your own breath, you actually, not only do you create a heart frequency, so you're breathing because the heart is resting, the frequency of the heart expands. People can feel that on an energetic level, as the children did, but it calms other people down. So, if you're in a moment of stress with someone, if you're arguing with someone and you go up to their level You know, they're not breathing well, they're breathing stressed, and you start to get stressed and you're breathing the same way as them, then that's just exacerbating the situation. If you can, when someone is in stress or in need or in an overwhelming situation, if you can keep a nice steady breath going, you'll find that you actually calm the other person down. You stay calm, you calm the other person down, you create a ripple effect. Of energy. So this is a really powerful practice. It's super simple. Also, one of my clients did it with his with his son, who is super hyperactive always. He'd pick him up from school, and even though he wasn't even close by at the time that the father was practicing the breath work, he noticed also that his child was actually becoming less hyperactive when he was picking him up from school. He was like quite calm, you know, and it was really like, what's going on? But, you know, we just feel each other on such a very subtle level. So if you can remain calm, then other people can also remain calm. So we're going to practice for just a couple of minutes. Breathing in for 5 or 6. I'm going to put on a metronome. So I tend to use a metronome. This is a nice way to count your breaths without it getting too distracting. And we just put it at 60 beats per minute. So yeah. And we're just going to breathe in for 5 or 6. So you maybe take some time just to feel what feels natural for you. Nice smooth breaths in and nice smooth breath out. So it's not going one at a time, just a nice slow breath in and slow breath out. So just closing the eyes, making sure your body is straight, your shoulders are back, your spine is long. And we inhale. Breathing in for 5 or 6. And breathing out for equal amount of time. Take a few more rounds and maybe see if you can use that thoracic breathing, that full upper body breathing to get a deeper, more nourishing breath. Taking 3 more rounds. Nice, and just return to your natural breath. Taking time to notice any changes in the body. Come back into that witnessing state. Watching your natural flow of breath. So how do you feel after that exercise?
Breath is softer and just calmer, I suppose, understandably.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel very calm and relaxed. Thank you. Very just
Mm.
at ease.
Yeah, so it's so easy to just, to change our day up. We can get very attached to feeling stressed, and then we just stress. All we need to do is sit down for a few minutes and just come back to the breath. So I hope those exercises were beneficial for you. Please practice them. Have a go at them. You can take them any time of your day. There's not really any contraindications to any of these exercises that I've shown today. So anyone can do them anytime. Maybe a nice time to do in the morning before you start your day, or in the evening before you go to bed. When we're breathing, we're cleaning out, we're cleansing the mind and the body. So always a benefit to doing that. Thank you so much.
Sarah, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is the importance of practice in breathing? So you've shown us two very nice and very easy exercises to do. How important is it to practice them, and what effect does practice have?
Well, practice makes perfect. And we already think we know, how to breathe, because we do it all day, every day. But yeah, I mean, we're changing the way that the brain works, like we create different habits for ourselves. Some of them are healthy, some of them are not healthy. And yeah, if we do the same thing over and over, we'll always get, we'll continue to get the same thing. So especially if we're starting off and we're not used to breathing with awareness, that's going to take practice. Otherwise we'll do it once and then we'll forget about it, and we'll go back to using the brain in the same way that we've always used it. We'll go back into those stress responses, we'll go back into those emotional responses that we, and so it can be beneficial momentarily, yes, to do it as a one-off, but as a lifelong assistant for you, it's of course important to practice these every day. And then the more that we can, the more that we kind of switch off the mind. I think that's the important factor, is that we practice switching off the mind and focusing the energy on things that are actually nourishing us, because quite often the mind isn't really nourishing us. It's just confusing us and making us stressed. And we've kind of been conditioned in a way to use the brain all the time and to use the mind all the time. But we want to, take it back to the simple watching of the breath, the simple connection of the breath, just like the simple connection to nature that we've lost, So the benefit is it will become more accessible to you. It will become second nature. It was in our nature to be connected to it always, and we've lost it a little bit. So the more you practice, the more it will just become a part of you. And anytime something stressful will happen or happens, you'll be able to just connect with that and ease your day.
I find it really interesting that everything that we've talked about up until here really seems to drill down to the fact that as human beings, we are no longer in our natural habitat, if you allow me that expression. We've sort of moved out of nature and into big cities. We're surrounding ourselves with constant stimulus and an ability that used to be extremely important to us, which is the fight or flight mechanism, is now constantly triggered and works against us. And it really appears to me that the new human being, that this ability to adapt is now leading us to actually controlling this fight or flight mechanism more with every day. And ultimately that will determine our ability to survive in this new world that we have created. And yeah, it's interesting how life takes care of us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, the world is brought to a halt. And we now really have this space to explore what it's like, to feel what it's like to just be and to reconnect with ourselves. So thank you very much, Sarah.
Pleasure.
Lovely exercise and a new perspective to it all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I just would like to add something, because talking about the practice of breathing, when I work with people with Chinese medicine, generally they come in a state of imbalance, and quite often when it's a chronic disease or chronic problem, what I tell them is, well, often we work on whatever they came to me for. But often I'll tell them to come back, if I see them for 6 sessions or however many that is, to come back after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and gradually we space things out. And the idea behind that is that if something's been chronic, just in the same way that breathing might have been shallow for a long, long time, you kind of need to retrain the body into finding its homeostasis again, and just give it a new pattern. So I think with the breathing as well, it's so unconscious. It's we do it all the time, but we're not aware of it. So I think it is also about just retraining it and giving it a new what do you call it? Like not a 0.0, but a new normal, if you like. Whereas the normal might be for a lot of people to breathe quite up here. If the normal becomes slowly there, then also we'll be less triggered and we'll be healthier and happier. Anyway, just my little points.
From both of your experience, what does the success of the retraining depend on? So in other words, what gets people to stick to their practice?
I've just done a 21-day challenge, for example, and I feel like, yes, the consistency is super important. So, doing something 1 time a week, it's beneficial for that time, but to take time every day, whether it's 2 or 10 minutes that you can put aside to do the same thing every day, I think that really determines how successful you will be in this retraining.
And what does it depend on if people actually take that time? Because we all have 1,000,001 legitimate excuses why we don't have time to recreate our lives. What do you see? What's the differentiating factor between people who take the 10 minutes and who don't take the 10 minutes? From your expertise, do you know what that is?
Well, sometimes, unfortunately, it comes to a place where the person is so unwell that they have literally no choice but to put that first. So, I mean, I would say choice, to make the actual choice for yourself and prioritize what's more important, So it's But a lot of the time, yeah, people only come when they really, really need it, when their body's like screaming out for help, then they come. But it's so much easier to develop the practice if you come way before that. You know, even if you feel like you're okay, to start the practice now, it will be easier, as you say, to come back to that new normal, you know, because if you're already up here, it's going to take more work. It's totally doable, but it's going to take more time, more consistency. So yeah, I would say start now, empower yourself now to learn with your most powerful healing tool. And yeah, it's for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I don't have a choice. I feel I don't have a choice. I have to, yeah, because it all boils down to that. And I noticed the way that you know, when I started noticing my breath a lot from a really young age. Actually, it was actually, I've always been really interested in my voice, so how my voice is and how it changes. You know, and how when I was telling lies, how my voice would change. When I was really happy, how it would change. If I was really down, how my voice would change. And the voice is geared by the breath, right? So that took me on this whole journey through my lifetime, and it brought me to the breath. So it really is the essence of me trying to unlock my voice and be in my authentic self. Yeah, it all came back to the breath. So for me, there is no choice, you know.
Thank you. Carol, what's for you, what makes that difference between somebody who succeeds in achieving a new normal and who doesn't? What motivates it?
Well, I think the person has to be committed, but then whether they're committed or not, to some extent, is going to depend on their personality. To some extent, is going to depend on how much of a benefit they see from, you know, in my case, from the treatment or whatever modality we're using, because obviously if they're, you know, similarly to Zara, when people often come to me, they come to me when nothing else has worked or when they're really desperate for something to work now, which usually takes a bit longer than half a second to sort out. But I think the more people will see quite a big change from what we do, the more they'll value it, because obviously if you suddenly feel a lot better, then, you know, you want to repeat that experience and repeat that feeling and stay in that state for as long as possible. So, you know, in a way, the worse people are when they come to me, the bigger change they're going to experience. So in a sense, for them to be committed, it's almost better they come, you know, but I would almost think it's better when they come sicker, because they see a bigger shift, so they value that a little bit more. Although obviously it's better to not wait until then, and with Chinese medicine, it's you're very much trying to prevent illnesses rather than cure it. And in fact, traditionally the Chinese doctors used to work for get paid to keep people healthy, and if, especially with royalty and the emperor, and if those people were to fall ill, then it was the doctor's responsibility to bring them back to health, and then they would have to work for free, because in some sense they had failed their responsibility of preventing the illness to happen. Even if, you know, I'm guessing in most cases it would have been to do with what the emperor would have done in his lifestyle, but that's, you know, that really shifts the way we look at medicine and you know, wellness and caring for ourselves. It's, you know, the job is to prevent problems, it's not to fight fires. Anyway.
Thank you. I love the idea of doctors being appreciated and paid for on the basis of keeping you healthy rather than making you healthy again once everything has already gone downhill. So it's really interesting because you both seem to coincide that people create from lack, from the absence of health. And I think that's a huge part of our culture, that we have really stopped to look after ourselves, and we have left ourselves no room to do so. Our lives are now so busy that we haven't got any room anymore to just be with ourselves, with the people we love. And yeah, breath has this beautiful ability to recreate that space in which to be. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.